Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first ever broadcast live of the Nighthawk High Strangeness Paranormal News Hour. Okay, we're going to be bringing this to you here about once every 3 to 4 weeks on this channel. And we're going to go over, we probably won't be able to go over all the paranormal and weird news that we've gotten over the previous 3 to 4 weeks. But we will be able to go over, a majority of it. Okay. So hang with me, and I'm going to get the copyright disclaimer out of the way, and we'll get right into the thick of the news. I apologize. I'm not going to have time to actually get to all the chat and the comments. So thank you all for being here for this first broadcast. Anyways, copyright disclaimer. This channel may use some copyrighted materials without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under the Fair Use Act of 1976. Okay. Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel, William Nighthawk, and all podcasts, including the High Strangeness Breaking News podcast, declare fair use of any and all content to be used for the sole purposes of criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, parody, and general knowledge only, per Title 17 USC subsection 107 of the Copyright Act, otherwise known as the Fair Use Act of 1976. All right, that being said, I'm going to get right into my first story. Okay. And this is coming out of northwestern Michigan. Okay. Residents reported seeing lights and hearing sonic booms in Northwest Michigan. August 11th, 2023, Northwest Michigan residents were shocked, or should I say rocked, when they heard the loud sonic booms. And eyewitness reports stated seeing red glowing orbs. Okay, I've got this here. This is actual pictures of the orbs that were stated and seen. Okay. One witness says that the sonic booms were so loud that they rattled everything in her home and almost shattered the windows. And I think if anybody's been through the sonic booms, they know what that's like. So yeah, that's definitely makes us question the whole so-called UFO disclosure drama. Is it a setup project for Blue Beam or what? So, but yeah, they had their night rocked there, August 11th, 2023 in Northwest Michigan. That is something else. You never, ever would imagine you'd be brought up into some kind of a news story as weird as that. So that's amazing. But yeah, the orbs are definitely situated there. I didn't get an exact number of the orbs, but they definitely were there. There is the actual photo. So it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. All righty. And this next story is something that was reported by a good friend of ours, G from Midwest Night Watchers. So my hat's off to him. And he's reporting that there are new crop circles. No, I said new crop circles in Roundway Hill, Device, Wiltshire. Okay, now Wiltshire, I believe, is also where they have a lot of the glyphs in the ground, like the White Horse glyph and a few other things there. The Hercules glyph, I believe they have all that in the ground because of the whites part of the sandy area of the soil. So it was very easy to manipulate. But yeah, as you can see, there is definitely something going on in Wiltshire over in the UK. There is crop circles, and I've always liked to try and figure out what they mean, but that almost has a Mayan Aztec type of a flair to it in the style. So I'm going to be researching that a lot closer, and any developing stories on that, I will let everybody know. But that'll be one of our breaking stories for next time when we come on, because this was a last minute entry. Okay. Now, furthermore, let me hide that for a second. Let y'all see me and Dennis. I've got Dennis's mic muted, so bear with me, Dennis. Okay, I'm gonna save your singing voice here for the next few minutes. Okay, so anyways, these stories are actual news stories that are reported to us. Okay, I have several of them tonight. I'm trying to determine which ones to go over, but this next one I think we all know. And we all know her as the crazy freak out airplane lady. Okay. But I'm going to give us all an update. This is the original information that we had about her saying that she's seen something on there on on the flight that she wanted to get off because the guy or whoever it was is not real. Okay. We all remember seeing this. We all remember seeing the freak out. Airplane incident update. Per TMZ, woman from the viral video airplane freak out is Tiffany Gomez. Okay. She supposedly has given an emotional apology, which I listened to. Okay. But it is this reporter's opinion and actually my conclusion that the apology was scripted and suspect of coerced through intimidation tactics. But you, as the viewers, can determine your own conclusions on that. But I also have my feelings that this woman that's claiming to be Tiffany Gomez doesn't really look like the original subject. Okay. So I'm going to leave that at that and let you all build up your own information on that and maybe even watch her apology. But TMZ is reporting that it was a very sincere apology. And, you know how those mainstream media moguls go through the motions and stuff. So, but and then if somebody disagrees with their broadcast, they get sued. So, but I'm going to leave it at that and let everybody determine their own beliefs on how sincere her apology is. Okay. My next story is something that we've all seen on TV and all that over the last several weeks, and that is a lot of the animal attacks. Okay. And these are getting more and more predominant. We got the wild buffalo in Yellowstone attacking the people, thinking that they're somebody's next door pet and going up to pet them, which, hey, you get what you give, you know. So, and then you've got orcas attacking. You've got a higher number lately of shark attacks too than what you would normally see. You have animals committing suicide too. You have whales beaching themselves. You have octopi going upon beaches and beaching themselves. So obviously, something in our oceans are causing these animals to act and react the way they do towards mankind and wanting to get out of the water. So either there's some kind of testing going on in our oceans, probably military, because I know from being in that there is possible military, testing of weapons and stuff, sonar weapons and sound weapons and, that kind of a stuff, electromagnetic weapons. All that is real, folks. It does happen. They do test, and they do testing out in the middle of nowhere in the oceans, just so you know. So that's another story. that we are going to be going into. And then we have reports of dun, 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 in Peru. Okay. Um, in Peru, we have actual Peruvian village is under attack, apparently by 7-foot tall alienisk creatures, cloaked in silver and floating in the air. And it was said and reported that these beings were shot at with shotguns, but when they were actually shot at, they disappeared without a trace, only to reappear several minutes later. Often remnant of the, if you all remember the Hopkinsville goblin story, out of, I believe, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. The same thing happened there, okay, where the people that were in the house actually shot at these alien creatures, these little green goblin looking creatures. And when they hit them with their 12 gauge shots and 410s or whatever they're using, the creatures kind of rolled and disappeared, only to reappear several minutes later, and more of them. So, it's almost remnant of that. But you can't help but wonder, is this part of Project Bluebeam? Could this be part of the alien whole phenomena, Project Bluebeam, of coming forward and causing a mass panic of the populace to control the populace? For our so-called militaries of the world, the UN military, come in and save us from the evil aliens. I'm going to leave that up for you all to decide. But as far as this report is concerned, I am highly suspect that this is a ruse that is being put on by the UN. Okay. And this is just my theory through my research and everything I've done. Okay. So, but it was reported on Redacted News the same way I'm reporting it to you. So, okay. Now, as if we don't have enough to worry about the animals attacking humans, and about aliens attacking humans, and about non-humans on airplanes and crop circles showing up in fields. What do we have? We have a coronal mass ejection alert, and somehow it's affecting Seattle. It's affecting Seattle area, and earthquakes around the whole United States here, and parts of Canada and South America. The coronal mass ejection, for those of you that don't really understand it, it's just where a mass ejection of the sun, a solar flare, comes off of the sun and heads towards Earth, okay? And when it hits the magnetic and gravity protective field of Earth, it's going to weaken the gravitational field that protects the Earth, okay? And when it does that, it charges or decharges the atmosphere, allowing solar radiation to come in and affect us directly as human beings. It's a very, very dangerous thing, okay? They always say, watch the skies for meteors and all that. Well, you can't really see a solar flare until it's too late, because it's traveling at such a high rate of speed. There's really no way to predict when it's going to hit and how it's going to hit. But apparently NASA and NOAA are on it, and they're going to keep an eye on it, and hopefully we can get through this next month without massive communication failure, because it has caused radio signal failure problems on the West Coast, and they do link it to the earthquakes. So, which makes me worry about Yellowstone, if you know what I mean. Okay. All right. That being said, let me see here. I've got a couple more stories, and then we'll bring Dennis on. This is a story I'm still working on too. So I'm going to be bringing some of these stories back to you next time. This is a very, very interesting story. Back in the 1920s, there was a wandering explorer, I guess you could say, in the Grand Canyon area. And he found a cavern in the Grand Canyon underground that had suspect, Egyptian hieroglyphs on the walls. And he was ushered out of there by the locals. Okay. And when I mean locals, I mean the inhabitants of the area at the time, which are typically the Havasupai and Navajo people, or Hopi and Zuni. But recently, another explorer went into the Grand Canyon and came out with evidence of finding a room approximately 150 feet in length and 60 feet wide and 40 feet high, filled with Egyptian-looking statues, statuettes, columns, hieroglyphs, you name it, and all kinds of little trinkets and stuff. So it really, really makes you wonder, was Columbus the first one to find America? I always thought it was the Vikings. So, but hey, maybe it was the Egyptians, would make sense. Either that or this is definitely not the original Earth. So they have an alienistic look on their faces there with those, whatever they are, those statues of. But yeah, that is another developing story there in itself too. Okay. I'm going to go to the chat and just say hello real briefly to everybody. My last story is going to be a cryptid story. Okay. And it is a real time cryptid report that I've gotten. Okay. Good morning, Jamie. Good morning, Jamie. Good evening, Jamie. Good evening, Tracy. Chicken leg 71, making me hungry. Juno, my brother Juno, good to see you. Okay. All right. Crystal Hippie Chick, good to see you, Raven. Good to see you. Okay, let's see here. Now let's get back to the crook of it here. Okay. We are going to talk about Dogman. Yes, I said it. Dogman. Okay. Let me pop the article up here real quick. I got so much on this computer, you guys have no idea. Let's see if this is it. I actually got one more story too. Let me see. Nope, that's not it. Hold on with me, bear with me. I'm trying to find my photographs of what I'm reporting here. No. Here we go. Dogman sightings. Okay. Now, this was reported out of Texas. And yes, all you Texans, everything is bigger in Texas. Okay. So, this was a report out of the southeast and northeastern parts of Texas, along the Arkansas border, as far as I can tell. It reports of a 350-pound humanoid walking dog man, very hairy, very muscular, 300 feet from a house it was seen. It amazes me. I mean, and the report of the area too is not unlike what reminds me of Bray Road. Bray Road is an area, we all know of the Beast of Bray Road story goes, and sightings. So that is very very reminiscent of what Bray Road would look like with the farmland, and then leading into the forested area, and almost like a swampy river bottom area. So but yeah, that's another developing story. There have been several sightings of dogmen in that area. Nothing really aggressive per se, um, but yet very disturbing. Anybody that sees a 7 foot tall dog walking on two legs, you're going to be disturbed. So, but that being said, the last but not least story I'm going to be going over real quick, okay, is let's see here. It's going to be CERN. Okay, and we all know that CERN is in operation. Okay, CERN is a facility in Switzerland. Currently, it is on roughly about 26.4 miles in diameter, and eventually they're building it to be over 100 miles in diameter. So it's going to be 4 times larger than what it currently is in the near future. But there was a lot of reports of triangular lights hovering above the Hadron Collider, about 150 to 200 feet in length, over the Hadron Collider when it's operational. Is it because they're opening up a portal? Do we know that? No, we don't know that for sure because they keep it so hush hush that we literally have to theorize ourselves on what they're doing. They can say they're searching for the God particle, which they already found. They can say they're checking black holes, which they probably have opened up a few, probably. But I think it's more nefarious than what they're talking about. And I just this reporter, for one, would like to know what gave these individuals the right to depict how we all live the rest of our lives, be it as short or as long as it can be, because we all know that what they're doing is affecting our world. Okay, so that being said, that is the news stories I have for you all right now. I'm going to bring my brother from my South Carolina mother on, Mr. Dennis Carroll, and he's going to give you his 2 cents and probably a few extra bucks to get his side of the story. And let me get this picture down off of here so we can see Dennis's glorious
I've,
face.
I've got some commentaries on some of your news briefs there. Got a few commentaries on that. I think the thing in Peru has all the hallmarks of a false flag operation of some sort, definitely. And as for the
Mhm.
lady on the plane, I watched her apology. It does not look to me like the same lady. I could be wrong, but it doesn't look very much like. It looks almost like someone wearing a mask. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's my commentary on that. And as for the Grand Canyon thing, I believe there may be what you're seeing there in some of those photos and stuff. May be a direct link to the lost continent of Atlantis or some other type of people like that, other than Egyptian. Although I think the Egyptians may have a little hand in it as well, of course. I think they may have been,
Mhm.
trading perhaps partners with the Atlanteans. I think there's a definite Atlantis type connection with something like that if what we see there is true. As for the
Mhm.
animals attacking other people, I want to say this about that. I think this may be a part of the chemical poisoning that is going on this planet. Okay. And there are reports that the ocean by I think the year 2050 will be 40% plastic. That's how much they're polluting the oceans around us.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, this is going to have some kind of an output for it, no doubt about it. And
Yeah.
as for the Dogman things, I've got a little editorial for the Dogman thing, okay? And I know this may step on a few toes, but it's got to be said. There's a lot more out there than just Dogman and Bigfoot. We need to start thinking more about it. We're becoming too inclusive on cryptozoology here. Okay, we're only concentrating on less than we should be concentrating more. There's much more out there than just Dogman and poor Bigfoot who's had to take the back burner to Dogman. And we need to watch that. We need to be
Right.
more exclusive and not inclusive on this thing. So I think that's one thing that the paranormal crypto community needs to look at a little bit harder. We need to go looking for other things other than Dogman. That's okay, Dogman's all right, but there are other things out there we may be missing if we concentrate on one thing too much. And here's the other thing, the flip side of the coin. If we talk about it too much, we're going to overkill. There's going to be a lot of overkill on it. And I think you're beginning to see that in the paranormal communities. You don't want to overkill a subject. You definitely don't want to do that because people begin to get blasé about it. You lose a lot of valuable research and investigation that way. So let's think about that. That's my editorial on that. But let's think about that. Let's not get in too inclusive on our research and investigations. I think there's a lot more going on. I like this idea of this newscast because I think there's a lot more going on out there. And I'm going to give you a little local news here in a minute. But I think there's a lot more going on that people need to realize and know about, and we need to bring it out in the open for discussion and reporting, definitely. I've always been a big fan of journalism, and I think it has a place in the paranormal community as well, definitely. So I like to see a program like this for sure. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of some local news now. It's very strange. But a few weeks ago in the town where I live here in the upstate of South Carolina, dolls began to appear on benches, sidewalks. And I'm not talking about Barbie dolls here. I'm talking more like the little baby doll type dolls. And they had notes around their necks. And the note said on here, I have a soul in me. Please take me home. That does not sound good, folks. Okay, that sounds like a modern spin on a voodoo doll to me. Okay, I would not take one of these into my house. Okay, definitely not. Don't do that. That would not be a good idea. So if you were to encounter something like that in your city, and this may be something that's getting started, I don't know. You never know how these things spread from community to community. But I would caution you very highly not to get yourself involved in either bringing that, touching it, bringing it home, or giving it to someone else, or whatever the case may be. That does not sound good to me. There's a soul inside of me. Please take me home. That's not good. That sounds kind of. It kind of makes me feel like a little bit the black-eyed kid thing. It makes me wonder about that, definitely. So, what do you think about that, William?
Yeah, I agree. That is definitely creepy. I don't think I would be taking a doll home. Although I don't play with dolls anyways, so I didn't even go see the Barbie movie.
I'm scared of that. I don't want to mess with that. It sounds scary.
But yeah, it's
anyway,
definitely something. And we talked about the haunted objects on one of our podcasts too. And dolls are definitely one of the main items that you do find that have something attached to them. So when you take a doll home, whether it's an antique doll from an antique store or something, or any antique from an antique store, you run the risk of taking something attached to that object home with you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think the reason
Yeah.
why
Definitely.
dolls are favored so much, they have that human image to them. And I think that makes it more susceptible to dark or black
Hmm.
magic or certain curses and things like that. Definitely.
Yep.
So anyway, I think
Yep. Definitely.
we were talking about Peru, and you brought up the Hopkinsville goblin thing. That does very much sound like a false flag thing to me in certain ways. Or it's either some type of a
Hmm.
demonic manifestation of some sort, either along those same lines. But that does not sound good either. I would love to go if I were able to. I would head for Peru, definitely, to check that out. But
Yeah.
it's got some really freaky things to it. And of course, the Grand Canyon is one thing I've
Hmm.
always wanted to explore. That would be on my bucket list for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so you've
Now,
got a lot of interesting news
the
items
ones,
floating around this week.
yeah, there's two more items I was going to discuss real quick before we get off of here because I'm trying to
Mhm.
keep this under a certain time frame so I can share it on other social media sites too. And whenever we use
Right.
StreamYard, if you go over an hour, you can't share that stream. So I'm trying to keep it
Yeah.
at a certain time frame. So, but a couple other
Yeah.
stories I've
Best to
got
stay
going
under an
on, Dennis.
hour.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
a couple other stories that I've got going on right now. I'm going to put them up here on the screen, and I'm going to start with the wildfires that are going on. Um,
Uh-huh.
they there's a lot of talk about how lately we've been concerned about energy weapons and all that. Let me see if I can find it here. Um,
Well,
this
here's
is
something
part
I
of
found out
the Hawaii
interesting about
Islands,
that, William.
where
Here's something I found out interesting about what you just mentioned. I think there is a base nearby Hawaii. And it may be, I'm not sure, it could be Pearl Harbor, somewhere back in there, that they supposedly have experimented in the past with laser weapons.
hmm,
It makes you wonder, you know.
yeah, yeah, it does make you wonder, definitely, definitely. But in Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii, wildfires that burn even the boats completely to the water, in the harbor, boats that were actually in the water. So far, the devastation is like hell on earth there in Hawaii, and my heart goes out to everybody that's affected by it. Prayers to their family, their loved ones. It's literally devastating. We solemnly
It was a
report that the death
firestorm.
toll update. Yeah,
It was
the
a
the death toll
deadly
update
firestorm.
is to be almost 100 people so far. 100 people is the total so far, and please keep these people in your prayers and their family members in your prayers. The survivors, pray that they can rebuild that charming community of 16,000 people because it was literally devastated to where there's nothing left. And we're talking about 16,000 people that don't have homes, don't have a community anymore, don't have a church to go to, don't have restaurants to eat at, schools for their children to go to, medical places for people that are sick or the elderly or the disabled. There's so many heart wrenching things that I could go on about with this that makes it really, really
And
sad. And I'm
what's
just,
bad
my
about
heart
it?
goes out to those people. And
What's bad about it, William, is a certain president, whom I won't call by name, on his beach vacation was asked what he thought about that, and he said he had no comment.
yeah, yeah, I can guess he has no comment, but
Uh-huh.
we all know what's going on in the world. So, but you know, it is what it is, and I hope that those and pray that those people in Hawaii can pull themselves out of this and come back even stronger and more, you know, more of a community than not. Okay. And I'm going to
Yep.
leave it at that. God bless Hawaii, all the citizens that are affected by this. And we will keep abreast on it and see what happens in the very near future with it. So
We'll see what progress is made in
it's sad.
rebuilding
It really is.
a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that will do it for our news segment. And is there anything else you'd like to add, Dennis?
Well, I think that's going to cover it all tonight.
Okay, folks. I know I have another story I'm working on, and I'll probably bring that to you in a brief live sometime this coming week. It's just one news story that I'm working on out of Louisville, and I think you all know that. But we will see you all Friday night for Into the Red Rabbit Hole at 10:30 p.m. this time, not 10 o'clock, 10:30 p.m. now, from now on Into the Red Rabbit Hole. Okay. So we can give Carlito time to
And
get out of his work done. And
Wednesday
then
night,
10
9
a.m.
o'clock. Wednesday night, 9
Yep.
o'clock, I'll be on with Hunting the Shadows, Defense Against the Forces of Darkness. You don't want to miss this one.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then we'll be on Saturday and Sunday morning Paranormal Brew, right?
Yep. Very true. Very true. So until then, everybody, we love you. Stay strong, stay safe, and question everything, okay? And, I
Good
want
night.
to thank Ozzy Sue. I want to thank Raven and Edna, Juliana, McGill, my lovely wife, Tracy. Thank you all very much for being here. And the chat, I wish I could have interacted more with you, but we just didn't have the time because we have a certain time frame. We got to do this. But thank you all very much for being here, okay? And know that we're going to build this up every month to where we're going to bring you at least 10 solid paranormal and just the weird stuff kind of a news at least once a month. Okay. And it's going to be Mondays at 11 o'clock. Okay. East Coast time. All right. Thank you all very much for being here. We love you. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you on Dennis's show Wednesday night and on Into the Red Rabbit Hole Friday night and then Saturday and Sunday morning. Okay. Take care, everybody.